What's up? Hope you're all doing good. This video is going to be talking about the workflow changes that I have adopted in 2024 and how I'm going to be taking them into 2025 or changing them going forward. It's going to be a two-parter video with one referring to the more business side of things, so workflow changes, versus this part, which is going to be talking more of the gear side of stuff and what I basically either upgraded, downgraded, and just how pretty much the workflow changed. So getting straight into it, 2024 for me personally was I would say the best year for me, like filmmaking, videography wise. Not only did I get to shoot way more than I've ever done in my entire career, but I've had the ability to not only just shoot, but shoot, edit, work on different aspects of like the videography industry. And it kind of opened my eyes up to things that I had in my workflow that was either hindering my growth or either, making it harder on myself in terms of like working on projects, both either spec related or like official client work, or even just working with other creatives, like things that prevented me from actually working with someone else because our workflows didn't match up. Going into 2024, like starting off with January, I was still shooting on my Lumix G9. For those of y'all who don't know, the G9 is a Micro Four Thirds photography first camera from Lumix, but it has a lot of videography specs, just like the GH5. The only thing it's lacking is unlimited recording. So that wasn't really a hindrance to me per se, but the issue that became a hindrance was the fact that it was a Micro Four Thirds sensor. At the beginning of 2023, coming into 2024, I started to like pick up pace regarding like event videography, like nightclub based, like fraternity type parties where I don't have control over lighting. I don't have control over like the scene itself. So I have to be able to just adjust camera and shoot and capture whatever I have to capture. Being in the Micro Four Thirds system at that time, I only had one low light lens, which was the 25mm 1.7, I believe. And then the rest of my lenses were variable aperture, so I can either keep it at 2.8 or when I'm zoomed in, I'm at 5.6. But remember, that was like 2.8 on Micro Four Thirds and 5.6 on Micro Four Thirds. So in full frames equivalent, that is not enough light for low light scenarios. And this was on the G9, so I didn't really have the ability to bump up ISO like you would for the newer cameras. Having the G9, it was a great camera for most of the work that I did, especially the prior summer before. Like I was mainly outside, so the variable aperture lenses didn't really matter. And I had control over, the lighting. I just put on an ND filter and like cut light instead of having to worry about adding more light. So being in the more uncontrolled space, so like nightclub and stuff, it was just way dark. I didn't have lenses that were bright enough. Like I tried filming on a few cinema lenses here and there whenever I got the opportunity to borrow them. But again, like now I'm losing autofocus and I have to pull manual focus. And in events and spaces like these, autofocus is kind of key, at least when I was starting out. Now I don't mind pulling manual focus, but at the time I just wasn't confident enough to do it. So I made the executive decision to say, hey, I'm just gonna switch to full frame. And yeah, I sold my G9. I left Micro Four Thirds and I decided I'm just gonna tough it out for a bit, help out where I can without a camera, or if I do need a camera, just borrow one. Lucky enough, I had a buddy of mine who basically we shoot a lot frequently. He has two Sony cams, so I ended up borrowing his A7 IV, and I had that for a good 2 months nonstop. And pretty much it kind of gave me that mind's eye into Sony's ecosystem. And I realized, yeah, I don't want to switch from Lumix because one, I'm not really a fan of S-Log3. It just takes a bit more finessing to get the same grade that I would get out of my Lumix. And additionally, the lens ecosystem, yes, is a very vast ecosystem, but for the price to performance, you're either going to be buying Sigma because you want to spend less money, or you're going to be buying G Master because you want the best glass. And that to me, I couldn't justify the price of buying Sony lenses, but at the same time, if I were to buy a Sony camera, the camera I'd have to go for my workflow would either be the A7S III, the FX3, or the A7R5. For those of y'all who be like, oh, but what about the A7 IV? I started a whole rant video on the reason why I personally can't use the A7 IV, but I just ended up scrapping it. But long story short, the overheating is just not reliable. Like no matter how you spin it, no matter how you change the settings or whatever, it's just not reliable. The 4K 60 crop, I didn't care about that, but I guess sometimes that would be something that I would have to care about. So I guess, you know, 4K 60 crop was just a no for me. And just the fact that it didn't have that low light that I was looking for. Bear in mind, the only reason I'm upgrading to a new camera, the only reason I'm switching is to make sure that my low light performance is good. So having an A7S III, an FX3, or the A7R5 would have just been pretty cool. Here's the thing, those 3 cameras that I referred to are pretty much like $3,000 and up. And that's just for the bodies alone, not the lens. So I had to like sit hard and long to think about, do I really want to justify dropping this on just the camera body and then have to worry about the lenses going down the line? Bear in mind, most of the people who I know do have Sony cameras, so I can just borrow lenses, but I'm the type of guy who I don't like to borrow stuff. If I need to rent it, I'll rent it, but it's just a case where I like to have my own things because stuff happens and you don't want stuff to happen with other people's gear because then they might be out of gear and then can't go to work and then you're making them lose money. So you got to be mindful and conscious of stuff like that. So yeah, I couldn't go to Sony route because of pricing, and I definitely couldn't go to Canon route because of pricing, because for those of y'all who know, the Canon RF system, their lenses are locked down. So it's not like I can just buy a third party like Sigma or something and save money. I would have to buy RF lenses, and RF lenses are like $2,000, at least for the lenses that I would require to use. That's just a whole nother like can of worms I didn't want to dive into. So putting all those cameras aside, I decided to just, you know, look back on what Lumix is offering. At the time I was looking for a camera, Lumix basically just dropped their S5 II and S5 IIX, and I pretty much was like, all right, these are good cameras, but what is the catch? Like, what am I losing? What am I missing? In terms of the features and specs from the old cameras versus the new cameras, for what I was looking for, especially because I didn't have a camera at the time, just going the new camera route was just the best choice for me, and I decided to just pick up the S5 IIX. Picking up the S5 IIX was, I guess, one of the biggest decisions I had to make in 2024, because even though it was cheaper than the Sonys by, I would say, about $1,000, I still had to factor in buying new lenses because the lens that I got my camera with was a kit lens, which took me through the beginning of 2024 graciously. Like that lens bought every single thing I'll be showing you in this video. So referring to like lenses and stuff like that, honestly, give me a second. So yeah, I feel like I was just talking without clarification, so I went for the clarification. This is my 20-60 variable aperture like Lumix lens. This is what came with my camera. This pretty much took me through the entire beginning of 2024. Yes, it's a variable aperture. Yes, it's just a 20-60. Like to some people, that's not like a average zoom or an average lens, but it worked for me and I absolutely love it. As you guys can see, there's like a ring on it because I put my Ronin's follow focus motor onto this ring and I got like rack zooms. So that was kind of fun doing that type of stuff with this lens. This adapter is the Sigma M21, I'll put a name in it, but this is a EF to L mount adapter, so it allowed me to put EF lenses on, which came in extremely handy over summer when I had to borrow some 70-200s from persons who I know, and they had EF lenses. So I got to slap on an EF 70-200 and just use it, giving, you know, my camera an additional lens aside from this one. So yeah, these two pretty much made this camera pretty versatile in the beginning of its like life cycle, but eventually I kind of outgrew it because there were projects that I worked on where, again, low light was required. Bear in mind, the S5 II has pretty good ISO performance, not only at like 640, but at 4000, because it has a dual base ISO. Having that dual base ISO, to me personally, it's gonna sound weird, means nothing. I usually shoot this camera between 640 and sometimes 12,800. Bear in mind, 12,800 is not like a rated clean ISO, but with the lens I'm about to show you guys, it works. Like I've never seen any issues. Like I'll show you some sample footage. Base ISOs are just technical specifications of where the ISO value or like the grain value on cameras look the cleanest, but it doesn't mean that that's the only ISO you need to shoot at. The reason why I shoot at 640 is because when I'm in vlog, that's just the one it defaults to, but I have it set to do ISO expansion where I can go below that 640 or above that 640. But what I do is, anytime I'm shooting in the daytime, I shoot at 640, pop on an ND filter, you know, to cut the amount of light coming in. But in nighttime, I do the absolute opposite, where I crank to my second base, which is 4,000, and I stick inside the 4,000 range, and then push to either 12,800 or just 8,000. Like, that works out. And the reason why that works out is because the second major purchase I decided to invest in was lenses. The first ever standalone lens that I got was the Sigma 28 to 70mm f2.8 lens, which is currently on my camera right now. Again, that is a standard focal length, like 28 to 70, why not 24 to 70? In all of my shooting, whether I was on Sony, whether I was on Lumix, whether I was on Micro Four Thirds, I never found myself shooting at the 24mm equivalent. Even if I had a 24 to 70 or whatever, I'm always like zooming in just a little bit because I just prefer like a little bit more punched in look. If I need 24 or if I need something wide, I will be going back to this because this is 20. Yes, again, it's variable aperture, it's not 2.8, but I'll just put this at f4, keep it at 20, and it'll be the same look as I'll get out of that in the ideal environment. This lens was specifically got just because I needed something for low light. Other than the fact that it's a good lens and it's 2.8, the other reason why I got it is because it has a twin lens, which I actually ended up getting after summer ended. This is the 16 to 28. This is basically the wide angle version of the 28 to 70. They're both 2.8, they're both from Sigma. And yeah, this lens pretty much is my event slash real estate lens, just because I get to go to that 16mm and that 28mm, and it's internal zoom. So this is now my gimbal lens. Like, I put this on my gimbal lens, I zoom in, I zoom out, I don't care. It's really robust, it's really, greatly built, and I can't complain about it. So yeah, I ended up getting the 16 to 28. I got a 28 to 70. This one came with my camera in the first place, and I got this adapter so that I can use Canon EF lenses whenever I'm around people who have EF lenses, because EF lenses are still good. Like, the Sigma EF 70 to 200mm might be my next lens purchase, just because I can actually rent an EF lens easier than I can rent an L mount lens. But I'm considering getting just the L mount version and just mounting it directly to my camera. But then that kind of leaves this in the dust, so I don't know, I'm still trying to think about it. But having this is just a godsend, because at least I can adapt lenses. That way I don't have to worry about, oh no, no one shoots on L mount, because everybody has this thing where it's like L mount doesn't have lenses. It does, it's just, I guess, for what people want, it's not there, so I don't know. Going forward into 2024, I realized that I needed to like work on my audio and like update, vocals. I used to have the Godox Move Link, I think. I don't remember exactly what wireless transmitters I used to have, but I'll put it down here, the name of it. I ended up moving from those to just having a shotgun mic on the top of my camera. But for every shoot, the shotgun just wasn't necessary sometimes, or most of the times I'll be shooting on gimbal, so now I'd have to take off the shotgun and use my camera's internal mics. And then for interviews, unless I had someone else's shotgun, or I found a way to like run a cable from my shotgun to my camera, it just wasn't usable for like booming out to getting like, audio like that. So I ended up having to rethink my audio solution. And funny enough, a creative was selling their mic set, and that mic set ended up being the DJI mic version 1s, so not the version 2s. I got these for way less than MSRP, and the only thing I added to them was pretty much the Rode like lav mics. I love these because I like laving up people. I don't like showing mics, I like when they're hidden. So I got these and I just use them on the actual mic itself. I can't open it because it'll actually start recording. So I use it on the actual mic itself. It came in this nice pouch. Like, I literally got it from the person brand new. I'm kind of surprised that they sold it to me for the like low price that I got it for. So yeah, that was kind of funny. But yeah, I got these mics. I've used them on every single interview I've ever done. I've used them on almost all my videos. And even when I don't use the lav mics themselves, like the actual lav cables, I actually end up taking the mics and sticking them onto locations that have metal, since they're like magnetic, and getting like scratch audio from environments, which has been really clutch in clubs because I don't have to worry about me being near to it because these mics have internal recording. I haven't really had an issue with them so far. I love the audio that comes out of it. If I'm being honest, I prefer the internal audio like above all. So most of the times, even when I'm doing stuff like this, I have it recording internally, but then it's also going to my camera, so I have 2 separate tracks. I haven't gone the whole like XLR shotgun route yet, just because I'm not doing anything that requires that. So maybe down the line, I'll add that in, but for now, that's not really something that matters to me. After I got the mic, I was done for a bit. Like those are the things that I just checked off my list. It was proper lenses, proper audio, and that's it. Anything additional that I required, like lighting, tripods, or anything support wise, like grip equipment and stuff like that, I was just able to either borrow or rent, and that was just the best solution for me at the time because I didn't really have a need to own those type of things, especially because I'm in and out of the country. Like I'm here for school, but I'm back home for like, you know, projects here and there. So it just didn't make sense for me to have like a dedicated, you know, kit laid out because I'm not going to be there to use it, and I'm not going to be flying in and out to, you know, oh, I'm going to bring this with me, I'm going to bring this back home. So I just kept my kit as minimal as possible, but that kind of all changed once summer wrapped up, and I realized that for a lot of stuff that I do, especially here in Arizona, having my own kit became mad important because there are a lot of people here who shoot video but don't have the type of kit that I'm used to shooting with. So when I'm on a set, it's like, oh, hey, are we gonna be using this? Oh, what's that? And not to say that that's an issue, but for the type of shots that they would want to pull off, certain things would be needed. And it's like, oh, you guys could just rent that. And they're like, oh, nowhere here rents it. So I decided to do the smart/stupid decision of basically being a mini rental house, whereas I rent lighting, C-stands, lenses, audio. Again, this is only specific for people with L-mount, which there's only one other person here that I know personally that shoots on the L-mount system. So it just became my lighting/audio grip equipment rental thing. As you guys can see back there, this is a Amaran PT4C. It's a 4-foot tube light. I have 2 of them because I got the kit. Yeah, I bought 4-foot lights. So far, I've used them on 5 shoots. 2 of them have been personal, and the 2 personal ones were just to test them out, but the other 3 were actually full-on productions where I got to like rig these up in just minor ways because I didn't actually have the equipment to rig them up how I actually would want to rig them up. So yeah, I ended up getting these and they've been doing good so far. The first light that I would usually use for my YouTube videos was the Small Rig 120 RB something. Again, I'll put the name here, but I swapped that out for an Amaran 150C, and that's because I wanted to keep all of my lights in one ecosystem. That way I can rent it out as a bundle versus just, oh, here's this light, here's the app that works with it, here's this light, here's that app that works with it. Like I didn't want to have just multiple problems in like the whole setup process. I wanted everything to be seamless. You flip on one light, you flip off one light. So for instance, I wanted to like say, all right, cool, shoot YouTube. I just come in, I go boom, boom, and that's it. Like everything turns off, everything turns on. I could dial these into like different colors. Same thing with my key light, but I just keep it chill for now. But yeah, I got those lights specifically because they're on sale and because they improve my workflow and gave me the ability to do rentals. So that way I don't always have to be the guy behind the camera. I don't always have to be the guy who is just calling to ask, hey, do you have this, do you have that? Like I can manage my own sets, manage my own projects, and know that I have basically control of the equipment that I need to have. One thing that I ended up getting that I actually personally didn't buy, it was actually a gift from a friend of mine. Shout out Josh. Like he's always gonna get cameoed in these videos because like he's the best person to work with, and he just is always someone who I can go to when it comes on to like film information or media information that I may not know, or things, you know, growing pains as a creative. Like if y'all ever have questions, like hit him up, like shout out Koga Productions. But yeah, he put me on to this battery charger from Jupio. It is the Tri-Charge. They made it in collaboration with Peter, I'm gonna put his name here so I don't butcher it. It's pretty much a triple charger for batteries. So it just, you know, you put your battery in it, they clip in, and basically you plug into this side and it charges all three simultaneously. What I love about it that my actual battery charger that came with these don't have is it has a level gauge. Like it shows you right here on these dots, basically what the percentage of these batteries are. If that was the only thing, then this would be alright. Like I wouldn't be saying, oh yeah, this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But what is cool about it alternatively is it works as a power bank as well. Like as you guys can see right there, there's a power out. So if these aren't fully dead, like you're on a set and your phone is dying, you just get a USB-C cable, plug it into your phone, and these could be charging your phone. That way when you go home, you know, okay, all my batteries are dead, let me like fully charge them now. And again, if that was the only thing, it wouldn't be that deep. One thing as videographers and creatives that we always run into is SD card storage. Like once you go above 2 SD cards, you now basically play that game of, did I have it in my camera? Did I leave it in my bag? Did I leave it in the car? Is it in the case or whatever? This kind of changes that. It has built-in SD card storage for 3 SD cards, 3 CF Express Type B cards or mags, I guess they're called cards, I don't know, correct me, and 2 micro SD card slots. You will never forget your SD cards now once you bring your batteries. Like I just slap this in my bag and I know, okay, cool, I have 3 SD cards or 3 fully charged batteries. Like it's a workflow like changer. Here's the thing, I just got this. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Like I'm still, you know, seeing if it's too good to be true or whatever. It charges my batteries way faster than my other charger does. And I think that's because my other charger uses these back pins to charge my battery versus these top pins I think are the faster standard, because these are the newer Panasonic batteries. The older ones only had this, but the new ones have this. So it made it backwards compatible, but it also made it weird to know what charger to buy for it. The only thing I might say is right now where I'm at, it's actually pretty cold. It went from being like extremely hot in the days to now being practically, I wouldn't say freezing, but cold enough. When I first got this, the batteries would like clip in, but if I were to like shake it, it would be loose. I didn't know if that was like a thing with the material expanding and not holding the battery tight enough. Now that I've had it for a while, and especially having it in my room that's actually pretty warm, it's been holding them. Like when I first got this, these would actually fall out, but as you guys can see, it's holding them. They do slide out, don't get me wrong, they're not perfect, but you hear like a satisfying click. You hear like a satisfying click when you put them in. So that's just something I would say, you know, keep checking. Like if you were to ever get the Tri-Charge, keep checking on that to see if it loosens over time. That was my only gripe with it. Like I brought it up to Josh and he was like, that's weird, you know, check that out. So I think it's a temperature thing. Like the material it's made out of, maybe it just in colder temperatures it expands and that way it makes it looser or whatnot. I don't know, but that was just my take on it. But I love it so far. I brought it on a set and the fact I could just pop out a battery, pop in the old one and whatnot is just pretty clutch. So yeah, the Tri-Charge, check it out. I'll put it in the description along with all of these or the newer versions to these. And yeah, so this one wasn't my purchase, but I don't regret it and I appreciate the gift. The final things that are here are just miscellaneous stuff. And these weren't bought anytime this year or anytime like within the last 2 years, but they've been things that haven't left my workflow. So this small rig light is a magnetic RGB, you know, slash regular bicolor light. I love it because it's tiny. I get to mount it on top of my camera. I bring this to all my events. I've had this since 2020. So, or 2021. Yeah, I don't want to give you the wrong date. I've had it since 2021. This is a bag that came with my camera bag, but that's not what I'm trying to showcase. I'm trying to showcase these. These are Sabrent enclosures that I have SSDs in. all my files from the past 3 years are on this one. Everything from this year is on this one. And anything that I'm working on actively that I want to secure backup is on this one. These are they have USB-C Gen 2 by 2 or whatever. It's fast enough that you can do transfers. That's what I'm trying to say. But I have 3 of these, and basically this is where I store all my media. Anything that I'm done with for like the lifespan of me and my project goes to this legacy. It's a spinning disc, Western Digital, nothing too crazy. I don't use this. I just dump final products on it. But these are in a rugged enclosure. They're solid like aluminum. To get into it, you have to screw like 4 screws out. You can't get into it any other way. So yeah, I have them because they were pretty inexpensive and I had drives already. So I just wanted to like put the drives in it, call it a day. But yeah, I have 3. I might end up getting a 4th one because I'm actually running out of space for certain projects that I'm doing, because this one right now only has 1 project. Like, it's not my project, but all those videos from that creative is on this. So yeah, I need to like get 1 more just so I can be able to like manage and like sort out where media goes. But I think in the like workflow video where I talk about how I've changed my workflow business wise, I might bring up this. If not, there you go. This is my storage solution. And obviously my other storage solution is external, so on the cloud via Dropbox. I've had Dropbox for like a multitude of years now. So I just use that as my emergency. You know, anything that I delete from those, I know it's on Dropbox. And if it's not, then the project was meant to be deleted. So yeah, that's pretty much everything filmmaking wise that I upgraded or / bought for 2024 that I'm gonna be taking into 2025. The only other thing was my iPad. I made a dedicated video on why I use that, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up and just call it a vid. Hopefully y'all like to see the mini gear haul, because there's like way more stuff, but they're just things that I guess aren't really that deep, like stuff that wouldn't really matter. I say that, but then I actually want to show y'all something. So one sec. Okay, this is not really that important, but it's pretty much, I call it quote unquote my grip box. What's in it is HDMI cable, USB-C cable, this connector for my DJI Raven Eye. These are basically broke people version of bongo ties. So I use these to like rig the lights safely by strapping them down, or strapping stuff to my camera, or just strapping stuff to a table, a wall, whatever. So I have a bunch of these. Medical tape. This is how I put my microphones on people. Med tape, little strip of it, wrap it around the Invisilav, which I forgot to mention that, but Invisilav is something that you can put your mic, your lav mic through, and it just creates less scratchy, less buffery sound whenever it's under a shirt. So yeah, medical tape is how I keep it on people. This plate is for my DJI RS2, which again, I have a video on, and it pretty much just allows me to either mount bigger cameras onto it, or something that I realized is if I screw it into the side of my camera plate, I can just mount my camera vertically and balance it out and just shoot natively vertical, which is something that I don't like doing, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I keep this in here just in case I ever need to like do a quick vertical. Sensor cleaning liquid. So if I need to, you know, clean my sensors, I usually have a bunch of these just in case, because I find that I keep my sensors clean, but people who I shoot with might not have sensors that are clean. So then our footage ends up looking really different because mine is just crisp, but then theirs might have dots or whatever. So I just have these not only for me, but to help out any other creative who may need it. I have a lens cleaner in here. It's very stuck, so I'm not gonna try to take it out. And I have these earbuds. These are a godsend. I use them on any shoot where I'm gonna be standing next to loudspeakers or just in a loud environment for a long period of time. At first, I didn't have them because I was just like, it is what it is, events or whatever. I'm gonna just shoot, go home, that's it. And over summer, Josh got me a pair of these. This is the one that I keep in here, but I have the other one actually clipped to my bag so I can just boom, boom. They're just quick release. There are other things that go into this box, but these are the things that never leave it. So yeah, this box fits perfectly inside of my bag. I used to have these cheap ND filters and it came in this nice box with some cleaning liquid and stuff. So I don't know, even cheap stuff have good, you know, items. But you as a creative always want to buy the latest and greatest gear because it makes you better. Like, you think you can push your limits, push your boundaries, but use the stuff you have until you outgrow it. And then after you outgrow it, sit down and actually like make a list as to why you need something else. Make a list as to why your workflow has to change. And that's what I did. Like, I was tired of borrowing stuff from people whenever I didn't have it. So I got my own stuff. And regarding my camera, I just needed to go to full frame. That's just something that my workflow needed. It wasn't because Mark IV 30 is bad or whatnot. Like, if I'm being honest, the GH7, which is Lumix's like new flagship camera, is better than mine, hands down. But in the grand scheme of like my camera, I haven't used all the capabilities that it has. Like, I haven't shot B-RAW on it. I haven't shot ProRes RAW. Like, I've shot ProRes, but not RAW. I haven't used the live streaming feature where I can like live stream directly from it. Like, none of that. I haven't even used some of the audio features like the XLR module or whatnot. So yeah, like, I'm gonna be using this until it dies because it has features that I won't even need as of yet. But then when I need it, it's on it. You know, like, I barely shoot 6K and this camera shoots 6K for those of y'all who didn't know. And yeah, it's like, I have so much, but I don't even need it. Like, you know, it's better to be here, but then your workflow is here, than to be here and then your workflow is here and then you're like, oh, I need to keep going, I need to keep going. Like, always ensure that there's like a sweet spot, you know? Like, don't get the latest and greatest because someone said, hey, get this and subscribe. Like, no, get it because you needed it in your workflow, and or it was a limitation in your other workflow to not have it, and you were losing clients because of it. You know, like, if I were to switch to Sony, it wouldn't affect me because my clients don't require Lumix like cameras. But if I were to have a Sony and my clients required Sony, then I wouldn't be able to switch to Lumix. You get what I'm saying? So shoot according to what you have in your arsenal, but also build up your arsenal in accordance to your budget, what you have access to already. Like, don't just get stuff to get it. Like, I'll just leave that as like my final remarks to you guys. I didn't. Like, everything I got, I spent months pining over, analyzing, watching the prices go up, watching the prices go down, like adding it to the cart, taking it out the cart, like budgeting numbers, literally so much to the point where when I bought all of this, I'm not gonna lie to you, I had money left over. I was like, oh shoot, I didn't go over budget, you know? So, and again, these weren't even bought at the same time. These were bought months after one another. So I'll say that again. You don't need it, don't get it. If you do need it, you don't have a choice but to get it. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully this video was insightful, educational. That's the whole point of this page. I'm just trying to bring y'all along for the journey, show y'all where I'm at, you know, headspace as a creative and what I have to offer in terms of just a videographer and what I have access to in terms of a support guy, you know, on your set. Like, if you need someone to help gaff stuff, hit me up. If you need someone to help with audio or whatever, I'm still learning, but I think I have enough of a grasp that I might be good enough to help. I don't know, shout out, hit me up in the comments. My email is below. But besides from that, I love what I do. It's costly as all heck, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And I also need to start saving this year because yeah, I'm putting myself on a hard budget. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 50 by the end of next month. I'm trying to get to 1,000 by the end of this year. Please hit me up in the comment sections if you have any questions, queries, additions that should be added to my kit, which I will not be getting for now, but I would love to hear your feedback. That's pretty much it. Yeah, as usual, I love to do this because it makes me smile. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you know the vibe. We out. Bye.